at 150 employees who you hired into your startup, and they're working 24 hours a day just on the faith that you will make them successful, which is all wrong, but that's what they believe. And that's how you sold it to them. It's just enormous. It's not the pressure for yourself to succeed and make more money. It's the pressure that you don't want to let down these young guys. I recall once at Silk & Spice, I was coming back with my father-in-law and mother-in-law late at night from somewhere, and we were going past Mountain View. So I said, okay, I'll stop over and show you, what my company is. And I go in and I switch on the light, and I know the whole thing because in a startup you do everything. And I was telling my dad, I call him Dad, and I said, Dad, in this section there are a bunch of crazy lunatics, who just work like nuts, and they write this software code, they're compiler experts, there are this handful of them in this world. And one of them just sneaks out from under the desk in a sleeping bag. And I said, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? He's, well, I've been here for the last 3 weeks since I have to finish that. I mean, that's the spirit. You don't get that anywhere. And I think you should experience it. So it was a safe move from my point of view. And the other safety was, I didn't go to any startup. I went to a startup that was doing something similar to what I was accustomed to. Remember, NextGen was a company that was started 9 years before I joined, to actually build a workstation based on x86, as opposed to based on Sun, Spark, and whatever else was being done then, Apollo machines and stuff like that. And somewhere they lost their way, lost a lot of money, things didn't work, and then management changed and they invented themselves in doing a chip. And so I went in to look at the chip. But wow, I mean, within 3 months, I must have lost more hair and more life going to that company than I had all of my life. Nothing was working. There were just a bunch of brilliant engineers, but they really didn't have anything. And what they were building was a chip that was proprietary, if you know what I mean. It needed a special I/O chipsets, special static RAM even. I remember going and sitting in the lobby of static RAM manufacturers. There was a shortage back then, and begging for a few pieces. You don't build mainstream computers based on that. So I had 2 major contributions there. First was, I told them, if you really want to succeed, you need to make all your chips Pentium bus compatible. Because Intel has spent $1 billion just creating infrastructure for the Pentium bus, the power supplies, the RAMs, the memories, the 3.3 volt, everything. You're not going to be able to do that. You just ride that wave. All you focus on is this chip. I think that was a very significant breakthrough, because when Sanders bought NextGen, he said that in his public domain, and said it was a murky, that I would have never touched this company had it not been for the fact that he can clearly see how he can compete with Intel, because their K5 chip had, was misfired, so it didn't come through, so they bought this. Did I answer your question?
Oh yeah, yes. After being successful in entrepreneurship role, you became venture capitalist, and as a venture capitalist, you have been mainly focusing on funding startups which are based in India. What were the reasons for selecting India and investing in the startups in India?
Yes. So after NextGen, I did a company called Silk & Spice, and because NextGen experience was not, for me, truly an entrepreneurial experience, because you came in so late and so much had already been done. So I wanted to go through the steps myself to just have that exhilaration of living that horrible life one more time. But it's exciting life. It's horrible in some ways, stressful, but it's exciting. Then I was done. I basically, honestly, didn't know what I wanted to do next, because you can't do too many startups, by the way, not at my age. Of course, you guys start at the age of 24, you can do 5, 6 of them. And there's very intense experience. But I felt, okay, I could do 2 things. I could help others in starting their startups, which is really what a venture capitalist does. And I picked India for two reasons. One is, clearly, I went to India to see how I could help India, and out here, we have some organizations that Indo-Americans help, like one is called American Indian Foundation, these charities, ICC and Thai and all this stuff. But I really wanted to do something for India, and I went out searching for what can I do and how can I help. And I came back, and the answer to me was, you can help. The best way is to let others do what you do. That is, become entrepreneurs. So that became clear in my head, and to do that, I had to be venture capitalist. But again, we played very safe initially. The initial companies which we did under incubator did not do very well, because there, what we said, see, the Americans were not yet ready to do startups in India. This is 2002. When I went to raise money, people were not 100% sure that, if they give money away to India, will money come back, or will a rupee come back, or will anything come back? So they were very skeptical, but they said, we want to support you. So they said, okay, how about you set up all companies in US? So all the monies and transactions and laws and everything is all US. And what you do is you use India for just doing R&D. So you set up subsidiaries, but they are part of this company. But we only deal with the American company. That's how we did a handful of companies. But then that was not a model that was working well. And I'll tell you why not if there's somebody who wants to know that. And then when I was more or less done with deploying that capital, I thought what we should do is really, India is already beginning to show up on the roadmap. GDP is growing, middle class is booming, they will have needs. So I felt we should do real venture capital, start 20, 25 companies in India, for Indians, with Indian entrepreneurs, for the market there. And that really what the Indo-US Venture Partners, my current fund is. And we have invested in 20 companies already.
Last question from my side. Your son, Ankush Dham, went to India. As a father, like what role you played in him pursuing a VC role in Reliance Technology Ventures?
He went to India. There's a very interesting thing that happened that, as part of this fund, I have two partners in an office in Bangalore who do bulk of the investments there. I do few investments. Most of mine are cross-border guys, but still India focused. So I traveled to India quite a few times. And I don't know how many of you have been going back to India in the last 8 years. Now I've been going back to India in the last 35 years since I've been here. But last 8 or 10 years just was an amazing experience. Every 3 months I would land there and go to Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Mumbai. Sometime I'll go to Calcutta. And I'll come back totally thrilled with the progress that's being made. You literally see what's going on there. And I recall once I was telling, my son was sitting there and I was telling my wife, I just come back and I said, it's just an amazing experience, once in a lifetime experience. And my son said, how so? I said, I'm not just watching a company being built, I'm watching a country being built. And he just got really big, wide-eyed. He said, what do you mean? I said, because the whole country, no matter where you go, something is being built. And he said, okay, I want to go there. And he's never been to India, he didn't know the language, and he likes Indian food. That's about all there was to it. But he managed to spend a year there, and he was very fortunate to have done that. And actually, he's a different person because of that, in whatever he does even today. And I'm really glad he did that. I did not really guide him. Venture capital is a bit of a crapshoot. Anything which you count on saying, I'll do 10 off and hopefully one will make money, to me is a very different ball game than being an engineer where we